One question I do want to pose, though, talking about the clicks, from my knowledge, I know that this can be used for quite nefarious things. So, for instance, like it could be used unfairly because people could buy bots to go and click on stuff and increase engagement, like faux engagement, really. Could you guys explain to me a little bit more about that, especially for those people that are tuning in that don't really understand how that works? So, Mike, let's start with you on that and also maybe explain why we shouldn't be afraid of it or why we should be afraid of it.
So there's indications in the documentation that they are looking for behavior that is not real, basically, right? Click fraud is something that Google has worked on forever because they have to have it in place specifically for ads. Like if someone just runs a bunch of bots on your PPC ads and then you're paying them $1 million for fake traffic, like that's not going to work. So that's not to say that you can't game it. Like, yes, you can. If you distributed, a click bot across a number of locations and so on, like it would work. Like that's just the reality. But it would take a big effort. It would be expensive. You might as well just like do actual good things rather than doing that. But effectively, what Google is doing is they're using that to like reinforce what should rank and verify what should rank, right? Like effectively, they have a threshold of clicks that they expect for a given position, and those clicks also have to be successful. And so if the user clicks on your result and then there's no signal to indicate that like they stayed on that page and they found what they were looking for, or if they do another search that indicates they didn't find what they were looking for, these are all bad signals for the rankings that were on those pages or shown in that SERP. So Google is effectively just trying to use that as the again, the verification for what they're ranking in their systems. And yeah, it's gameable.
Hmm.
I don't encourage
AJ,
it though.
okay, thank you. AJ, what are your thoughts on that?
I would say it used to be gameable. That's all I can. I won't go further into that, but there was a time when it was. I don't think it is anymore to a large extent. What we're really talking about is nav boost. Nav boost is still, I believe, one of their strongest ranking signals. It does look at clicks. Mike did a good job of talking about it. It is essentially a clicks over expected clicks model. If you're ranking third and Google expects you to get a 12% click through rate and you're actually getting a 15% click through rate, you'll probably move up. That's what it does. And so the implications of that, largely, in my opinion, are lately that brand means a heck of a lot. That's how you punch above your own, that expected click rate. And I have clients that we've seen this traditionally where algorithms would knock them down and then you can see the clicks bring them back up because people are like, yeah, you might be at fifth, but I want to click on that result. And then over time, you get dragged back up to fourth, to third, et cetera. So that is the way. If you look back at the foundational patents, you can't look for clicks. The magic words are implicit user feedback. Those are the magic words that will get you to. So I often wonder if we had asked Googlers if they used implicit user feedback in their algorithm, what they would have said. Now, no one did that, but that is where all of it resides. And you can see they divide it into people who are experts on the topic, people who are novices, people who they divide it by geography. There are multiple ways that they do this. I have uh, no no doubt that they have multiple ways to slice and dice this to sort of figure out all of the ways that the clicks can do that. That said, I think it's gone awry and they need to figure something out. But that is what clicks are. And as was mentioned by Daniel, the DOJ made it pretty clear, the magic of Google is not that they understand documents, they understand how people interact and react to documents.
All right. Robin, what say you?
I mean, there's plenty of evidence that click manipulation is still happening, and it's happening at a robot level and a human level. So people are buying clicks, and then they're paying people to click their results, and they're expecting their results to get better. But I haven't seen that. So I look at the SERPs very, very closely in our particular categories, and I can probably point who the culprits are of this particular these manipulations, and I don't see their rankings changing. So it used to work. Maybe it still works. We do see some kind of halo, and sometimes, but it's ineffective. And Google needs to use it as a softer input. I don't think it should be everything, because it tends to you then optimizing, or you showing the people who are getting the most traffic more often, which tends to then isolate traffic among an elite few, which we are seeing. So the big publishers are getting the most clicks, and is it perpetuating that? And are we putting a middle finger up to the small publishers, which I'm guessing is a thing that people are complaining about at the moment? So maybe,
Yeah,
that's my
exactly.
take.
Daniel, your thoughts?
So one of my methodologies has been to test. I live and breathe testing. So I've done click manipulation for a few years now. I tested it consistently. One of the people that inspired me to do that was actually Rand Fishkin years ago. He put on Moz. I think I forgot what the example was, but he basically put a shout out asking loads of people to search for a query, which is Moz articles, like at the bottom of page 1. And then loads and loads of people jumped straight to that, clicked it, and then within a day, his positions had gone up. So that intrigued me. So I spent years doing click manipulation to test it, and it's one of those things where I know it definitely does work, but the application of when it works will fall under various criteria. So for all the years of testing that I did, there was some really foundation things. The ranking factors in Google change depend on where you rank. So, for example, Google isn't going to have click data when you're on page 2, 3, 4. Or you might have some long tail data, but typically what tends to happen is the ranking factors will change as your position comes up. At the point where you begin to earn clicks, what will happen is that you'll then have that behavioral model that Google can start looking at and incorporating you in as part of a test. So one of the things, obviously, it's click behavior based on query and based on intent, and whether or not that click behavior expects a user to go back to search. For example, you could type in cheap shoes into Google, and naturally a click behavior going from first to have a look to second to third, that's not indicative of a bad experience. Just sometimes people want to browse around. So Google will have machine learning and aggregated data models to look at what the expected behavior is and what expected click distribution is. So one of the ways that I used to test this, I used to use something called CTR Booster, and I used to use it with residential proxies. So basically the proxy request would go out through residential IP, so it would look like a genuine click to Google. And I tested that, and it worked, and it did work. So anyone that knows me, so I actually set up a website called bulkco.co.uk. And basically what I did was I set this website up, I put loads of products on it, I then used basic SEO to get it to start ranking, and then I used click manipulation to start driving rankings up. And then once I started to get real clicks, because the prices of the products were so cheap, it kept people on the website. So that's one example of click manipulation working. So I have no doubt that that model is still very strong today, considering the whole content evaluation process from Google is still not where it needs to be.